Today, let's get to listen to stories of triumph amidst failures, courage despite fear, strength through weakness, and even the occasional hopeful cheer from personal punny experiences. I am your host, RKaye, and this is the BetterU podcast. What is up, fam? Welcome to today's episode of the BetterU podcast. Coach RKaye here, and thank you so much for joining me in today's show, guys. Now, first off, of course, let me just say Happy New Year to every one of you. All right, and of course, with the new year comes supposedly a new mindset. So for today's episode, we will just drift away quite a little bit from our frequently asked questions. Today, we will be focusing more on some common scenarios that often happen when the new year comes by, all right? Often, it is very much associated with New Year's resolutions, and one of possibly the number one rated resolutions always happen to fall upon improving health and fitness, right? I'm pretty sure you yourselves have experience having to tell yourself that starting this year, this brand new year, I will ensure that I will exercise more, I will eat better, I will sleep more, and all that good stuff. So that is not necessarily something that is bad. But for today, I'm just gonna be giving my few words about this common new year, new me mindset. All right, I'm not saying that it is a bad thing. I am just saying that many people tend to dive into this this type of thinking with, let's just say, for the lack of term, everyone is often very much optimistic when they begin this type of journey. Unfortunately, the optimism portion of it is a little far-fetched. And oftentimes what happens is people think that the whole new year, new me has to be a perfect scenario from beginning to end. But that cannot really happen if you do not have the right game plan, all right? So pretty much, I will just dive into a few ideas that many people, I believe, forget to prepare themselves to get into, which is why oftentimes these New Year's resolutions do not push through or do not happen as expected. All right. So first and foremost, as I've mentioned, a plan. All right. Oftentimes we have let's say, a specific target, a specific result that we would like when it comes to our health and fitness. So let's say the doctor tells us that, in order to decrease the number of medications that we take, we need to exercise, all right? So technically speaking, the goal is to reduce medication intake, right? But oftentimes what happens is, instead of getting into a program that is made for you, what happens is you just look into whatever it is that you see on the internet without even seeing if that type of activity is meant for you. All right. So that's one probably of the many boo-boos that we make. We tend to get into a program that we feel is very challenging, that will change us very quickly. And what happens? We get very overwhelmed with that type of activity. And what happens? Instead of continuing on, pushing through, and getting to the goal and the result that we want, what happens is we just fall out of the bandwagon. We wave our little white flag and say, I don't want to do this anymore because it's too hard. All right. So that's part of the game plan. One of the many parts of the game plan. All right. You have to ensure that the activity, the exercises that you get into are something that would realistically make you stay into the habit for far longer. And it's not just something that you want to get into because you were promised a certain time frame where you would reach your goals. That's actually something that I for the lack of term, that is something that I always get frustrated about when it comes to health and fitness. In the world of health and fitness, a lot of us trainers, we can and we are capable of creating programming for you guys that will help change you for the better. If you tell us 30 days, we'll do our best to do a program that will, ensure that you change or you get to a goal within that time frame. But unfortunately, what happens is after that time frame, are you still willing, even though you have had enormous results from that time frame or from the duration of that activity, are you still able to sustain, or are you still willing to continue on keeping up a healthy lifestyle? That is something that many of us should also look into. It's not just, changing for the better in this short span of time, all right? It has to be changing for the better as long as we can. Longevity again is part of the issue at hand. All right. So aside from the activity that you get into, what else is up with not having a good game plan that will ultimately get you into trouble and not make you be able to push through with your New Year's resolution? Oftentimes, as well, what happens is many people think that having to engage into a specific training program, a specific diet, or being more attuned to rest and recuperation. Many people think that when they get into the role of things, many people think that you have to do it perfectly. All right, it's supposed to be something that you should not. It has to be something that little munchkin. It has to be something that you should be dealing with from start to finish. All right. So where I'm getting here is that there is a mentality that many of us think of, and it's called all or nothing. All right. And to better explain the idea, because all or nothing and being perfect with your programming, with your nutrition, your sleep, all of that good stuff, if you are the type of person who is a perfectionist, all right, you would like to ensure that you follow your programming from start to finish, no mistakes, quote unquote. All right. And by mistakes, what I mean is, let's say you are engaged into a training program where you need to be training at least 3 times a week, and just missing one session is something that breaks you. And you're like, you know what? I missed the session, especially if you missed the very first session for the week. You tell yourself, okay, I missed my first session for the week. Forget about it. I'll just forget about the rest of the week. All right. I'll just take the entire week off. Same with not being able to stick with the type of diet that you want. Let's say you missed out on the first meal and you ate something that was not really part of the recommended meal plan for the day, and you tell yourself, forget it, I'll just eat whatever I want. Okay, that is pretty much the notion of all or nothing. All right, and a lot of people, unfortunately, have that mind frame or have that type of thinking where, that's what they think of, that they should be doing, or that it's okay to, have to deal with that type of scenario in their fitness journey. And to me, what I believe is nothing will ever be perfect. And what you should do is to accept it and to learn that it won't always go the way that you plan. All right. Let's say you've planned out the next 3 months, train 3 times a week for the next 3 months, eat the meals that are, planned out for you from an actual nutritionist, being able to sleep at least 8 hours each day, every day. It won't always happen. All right. And the sooner you accept that fact, the better you will feel, and the better it will be for you to successfully still continue on with your programming without feeling all of that guilt, without feeling like you've failed, without feeling that you're a failure. All right. To me, that's also a very good point to establish with everyone, especially when you're the type of person who really wants to stick to your New Year's resolution or your New Year mindset. All right. You have to be accepting of the fact that not everything will fall into place. Not every planned day will happen. All right. And the more you're able to pivot from that type of thinking, I think the better it will be for you to, maybe adjust and just be flexible with your own journey. All right. Because every journey is different. And speaking of, that's also one of the many factors I believe that makes the whole new year, new me kind of something that we do not get to finish off, and something that becomes a bit of a frustration for some of us, because, as I mentioned, every fitness journey or every journey is different. And most of the time, what happens is we think that it isn't. All right. And what I mean by that is we tend to compare ourselves with what we see others accomplish, all right? Comparing or comparison and looking out to somebody else instead of focusing on our own path. That's also one of the things that is a major concern when it comes to new year, new me, the new year, new me mindset, all right? Oftentimes, we don't necessarily, I don't think it's something that we often tend to recognize immediately, but it is what it is. You know, we are but human, and unfortunately it's part of being human. We do get those moments where we just cannot help but look at another person's journey and question our own journey, how effective what we are doing is, or, you know, because when you look at somebody else, let's say at the gym, let's say you both started out being a members at the gym at exactly the same day, let's say, and you go to the gym exactly as many times as um, you can, and you see that the progress that this person makes or had made already is very noticeable compared to yours. And what happens? You just feel like you failed yourself. You feel like your programming and your game plan to change is not working. That's pretty much what happens. It kind of messes with your head, and you tell yourself, I don't want to do this anymore because this other person who started out at the same time as I did is totally changed, and I am still looking like the same person when I began this fitness routine. So that also is something that you should be very honest about, that you should be able to accept, guys. Every fitness journey is different. Comparing yourself to another person's path is something that will really like mess you up, and it is something that you should gradually learn to accept, and it is something that you should also gradually be able to change in yourself. All right, comparisons should always remain within your own path. All right, you compare what it is that you have done from start to current, all right, and until you finish your journey, okay? And I'm pretty sure that there are a lot of changes that are already happening, or I am pretty sure that there is a possibility that changes are already happening to you. You are just downplaying it, okay? So these are just some of the things that I have noticed through the years of, you know, training many clients and seeing many gym members. It's something that we all get to experience. I have experienced it myself, and the more I believe that we get to stay tuned to it, stay aware of it, and be accepting of it, the more that we will be able to better understand the journey that we are taking. All right. I know that all of you are looking forward to a brand new year. It's like a clean slate for all of us. And I do agree with that. But let's try our best to literally, you know, scrap off all of the doubts and all of the worries that we've always seem to repeat throughout our fitness journey. I know a lot of people sometimes don't believe it, but you know, the diet, the exercise, the sleep, recuperation, the rest, all of that often comes into play and is better put into perspective if we also include training our minds and putting our minds into it. All right, guys. So I hope that today's episode has become something that clears up a few notions in your head for this new year. And I hope that you were able to pick up a few tips and tricks that becomes helpful for you in your own fitness journey for the year. All right, guys. So again, thank you so much for joining me in today's episode, guys. Now, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please do so because it really does help a lot. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave those in the comment section below because you never know, I may discuss or answer some of these in the next episodes. All right, guys. Again, thank you so much for joining me today. Coach RKaye here, reminding you always to never give up on your movement journey because it's never too late to move. Bye-bye, guys. See you again.